Same way, different life. Many times a few years ago, I was in the incredibly frustrating situation of having rising debt but no way to pay it. If you've ever visited this location, you are aware of how challenging and frustrating it can be. The good news is that you can hack your way out of that situation just like I did. In order to assist you get out of debt and into a better financial situation, I'll be sharing all I know about personal finance in this video. Don't leave the house just yet. Please subscribe and hit the like button before I continue, because it raises your position in YouTube's ranking system. I'm grateful. Let's enter right now. Keep your budget in check first and foremost. Even though you've most likely heard this advice a million times before, you'll hear it again today since it's effective and you're most likely not already using it. It must always come first, that much is clear. You must keep track of and account for each and every one of your financial transactions. The main goal of keeping track of your expenditure is to spot and get rid of wasteful behaviors. Keeping a careful eye on your spending will also aid in controlling your spending and encourage you to develop better money management practices, such as saving and investing. In other words, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, as Peter Drucker famously said. In order to accomplish so, follow these recommendations to reduce your spending. To start, it's crucial to look at your spending patterns to pinpoint the areas that need your attention the most. You might uncover a subscription that you've been paying for but haven't been using. It is generally agreed upon that cutting back on non-essential expenses is an effective approach to increase savings. It's feasible that you'd prefer to save money when you're having fun on your own. Now that you are aware of how your money is being used, reading some of the articles that teach you how to save money will teach you something new. To put it another way, you have nothing to lose by trying this. To clarify, the second phase entails developing a financial strategy. I didn't understand most people simply don't bother with a budget until recently. For most people, establishing a budget is very stressful because of the sheer amount of paperwork required. Indeed, it takes a lot of work, but the results are definitely worth it. You need to approach budgeting differently. Think about the advantages you will experience, and examine the positive. Once you've developed a regimen, follow it. This is the only viable choice, in my opinion. To that goal, proceed steadily as before. If you create a budget and then store it in a cabinet or drawer, you are wasting your time. Make sure you regularly review it and make any necessary revisions. Digital tools and software may make this process simple. Finding a ton of excellent ones that are offered online for no cost only takes a few seconds. Third, establish a ceiling for what can be spent in excess of your budget. Making a purchase that you hadn't planned on is thrilling and emotionally satisfying. Common knowledge in the broadest extent possible. Yet, the high might not endure, and you can find yourself with extra things. The harsh reality is that you must stop if this applies to you. That is the antithesis of prudent money management. The next time you go shopping, bring the 1% rule with you. You should wait a day before purchasing anything that costs more than $600, for example, if your annual income is $60,000. This rule applies to wants rather than needs, or the internal fight between desiring something and being able to justify spending the money on it. Based on whether you need or want something, decide if you should get it. You have a 24-hour cooling down period if you decide to back out of the purchase. It makes reasonable to take a day off to consider whether you actually need it. Throughout the next day, there's a possibility that you won't. Just remember what that guy said in the Common Sense book the next time you go shopping. Save money aside for significant purchases as number 4. Observing the $4,000 price tag on a stunning 90-inch flat-screen, 8K television. It does not follow that you should pick up your phone, pull out your credit card, and start dialing the number displayed just because you can imagine what is on that screen. That is not a good course of action. Do you still adhere to the 24-hour guideline suggested by the man from Practical Wisdom? Bear it in mind. Hence, it is recommended that you utilize money from your savings account, which is set up particularly for such expenditures, to buy that new television set. It is not acceptable to acquire a loan with a credit card. Unless you have a solid plan for repaying it, which, in 99% of cases, you don't, you're stuck with it. Additionally, saving up for a significant or expensive purchase has a lot of advantages. You might be able to negotiate a better price if you have the cash on hand to pay for anything in full. The price may decrease as well. However, obtaining a loan can be your best option if the item you want to buy has a rising value, such as a home, or if you don't want to use your savings or investment money. It is wise to wait until you have saved enough money before investing in a huge, expensive television set to prevent being left with no money thereafter. It is wise to start saving today in order to maintain your normal lifestyle. Tip number 5. Purchase and read personal financial literature. If you want to hide something, put it on paper, according to the proverb. Unfortunately, very few people ever make the effort to read. If people take the time to read some things, like advice in books, they might discover that they are the secret to their success. Learning is a lifelong process, and you'll get better at it the more you practice. Making wise financial decisions is the key advantage of financial literacy. It gives us the skills and knowledge necessary to handle all aspects of our financial lives, from borrowing to investing. We are now better equipped to achieve our financial objectives and keep up our financial stability. It's like having superpowers, and because you know that your financial destiny is in your hands, it makes life a lot simpler. 6. Cut your monthly spending. Getting a grasp on your finances is as simple as cutting back on your monthly spending. It could be tough to save money when it comes to fixed costs like a mortgage or car payment without making significant lifestyle changes. Yet, being resourceful and inventive might help you save money on varying costs like food or leisure. You can start by lowering your energy consumption, moving to a less expensive home insurance company, or shopping in bulk to cut costs if you want to minimize expenses like electricity bills. Furthermore, there is no justification to accept a solo even if your salary and credit history entitle you for one. Many people are under the impression that banks won't grant them credit or loans if they can't pay them back. Yet aside from the income you've declared and the debts that show up on your credit report, the bank has no knowledge of your financial status. In light of your monthly income and expenses, it is your responsibility to determine whether or not a monthly payment is manageable. Finally, prepare a supper for yourself. The cost of a home-cooked meal may be considerably less than that of a meal at a restaurant. In essence, you simply need to dine at home more frequently than you order in. While treating yourself to a special supper at a high-end restaurant once in a while is acceptable, you might be able to cut costs by learning to cook at home or by packing your own lunch for work. If you prepared your meals for the entire week in advance, it might be simpler. Make a weekly menu, then follow it. On the internet, everyone can obtain helpful information and recipes, even people who don't consider themselves to be cooks. Start by committing to preparing one meal at home each week. Please bring your lunch to work starting next week. You might be surprised by how much money you can keep in your pocket. The 8th step is to pay off your debts. Taking up too much debt, especially on high-interest credit cards, is one of the costliest mistakes you can do. If you want to improve your financial situation and create more possibilities, pay off your debt as soon as you can. Establishing a thorough record of all your existing debts, including credit card balances, student loan payments, and auto payments, is a smart idea if you have a tendency to forget things. You would pay off your debt more quickly if you took into account your fixed expenses and how much of your discretionary spending budget you could set aside for debt repayment. Another choice is to bargain with the lender for a lower interest rate, combine several loans into one, or utilize a balance transfer credit card to shift high-interest debt to a card with a lower interest rate. The next step is to create a debt repayment strategy and develop more responsible money management practices in order to minimize debt as quickly as feasible. The more money you have available each month, the faster you can pay off your debt. As I've said before, paying off credit card debt should be a top priority. It climbs over time and is challenging to minimize. It's not fixed like a car or mortgage payment. Stop using credit for purchases in tip number 9. A credit card is a wonderful and practical convenience to have. You can count on them to support you in times of need, and they'll do a great job raising your credit score. But, due to a lack of self-control and the easy fix of a credit card, other people easily dig themselves into trouble. You might be using your credit cards excessively if you consistently struggle to make ends meet. Avoid using credit cards as a crutch. Doing so will put you in debt. Your ability to meet your financial obligations, put money away for the future, and make prudent investments will be negatively impacted by this. You need to stop using your credit card if you want to take control of your finances. You can try paying with cash, using a debit card, opening a savings account for significant purchases, not using a credit card at all, or creating a budget that will allow you to avoid using credit. Credit cards have a high interest rate that, if not used responsibly, can quickly grow debt and cause significant emotional stress in emergency situations. Fears that their monthly income is being spent too rapidly have led many people to significantly rely on credit cards. They have little money left after paying for bills, food, rent or mortgage, and other commitments, therefore they must use credit cards to get them through till payday. Avoid using credit cards as your main form of payment and instead opt for other options. unless you have the wisdom and expertise to use it wisely. 10. Continue your quick rotation. Spending fast can be the answer you need if you have credit card debt, trouble making your payments on time, or other money problems. You refrain from making any purchases for a predetermined amount of time that aren't absolutely necessary. This is a great way to save money in addition to the prior advice about how to organize one's finances. It sounds frightening, but it's not as horrible as it seems. It's not new to fast in order to detox or clean the body. Common techniques include abstaining from particular foods for 30 days, such gluten and sugar, or living solely on fruit and vegetable juices for a few weeks. Did you know that in order to improve your financial health, you can use the same principles of fasting and cleansing to change the way you spend and save? Apart from necessities like food, transportation, and regular payments, all expenditure is restricted during these periods, which normally last a month. Accept this challenge if you're willing to reduce your lifestyle for a period in order to improve your financial condition, change your behaviors, and discover what you actually need as opposed to what you just want. Your perspective on money may change as a result of what just transpired. If you're still reading, it's possible that you found something useful here. You can ultimately advance financially if you simply heed the suggestions in this video. Consider the possibility that you have never experienced a money problem. That translates into a net gain for you in terms of money. Please post your inquiries in the comments area below. Having stated that, thank you very much for your time. I'll see you all tomorrow, and I hope you all have a good day. Thanks for watching.